If you've kept up with any of the videos I've made for the B&H YouTube channel or our new B&H Pro Audio YouTube channel, hashtag like and subscribe, you probably will have noticed that I'm into recording. And it's always fun coming to NAMM to check out all of the new gear. I feel like a kid in a candy store. So we're gonna head on in and take a look and see what we can find at this year's show. If you're a fan of the famous C12 sound, then this microphone might be something you want to check out. This is the Austrian Audio OCS-10. Now, I'm going to explain the nomenclature. The OC stands for open condenser. Austrian Audio, with that philosophy, they really tried to keep the capsule inside of the head basket as much of a free-fill design as possible, so minimal reflections and as much air around the capsule as possible, as you can see here with this design. And then the S stands for soloist. So this is really for solo instruments and vocals. So I know I mentioned the C12 sound. This microphone is definitely more of an inspired by that kind of sound, but it features Austrian Audio's CKR12 capsule. And the capsules that find their way into the OCS-10 models are hand-selected to be matched within 0.1 of a dB of each other. Usually in Austrian Audio's microphones, the capsules are hand-selected to be within 0.5 of a dB of each other, but these are extra special in this model. Now, these capsules are handmade in Vienna, and they are made of ceramic rather than brass. The ceramic material is what enables Austrian Audio to get that consistency from capsule to capsule. There's a higher yield rate in the manufacturing process and allows them to keep the matching between capsules so close. The capsule in the OCS-10 is double-sided, so it actually has two XLR outputs, and you can record from both of these outputs, and then in mixdown, you can manipulate the polar pattern using the Polar Designer plugin if you wish. Another cool feature is the way that Austrian Audio have implemented the pad selector, the high-pass filter selector, and then the polar pattern selector. These are rings on the microphone that you can rotate to change these settings and get the mic set up as you wish. And there's also a spider mount included that the microphone is in right now. Included with the spider mount is the new pop filter. You can see that it's quite thick. It's actually a special metal mesh that's very acoustically transparent, and it's designed to basically minimize and eliminate really any filtering that can be introduced by traditional pop filter designs. And it's magnetic, so it just snaps onto the spider mount just like that. Also included with the OSC-10 is a wooden box that the microphone comes in. That's housed inside of a flight case that houses the spider mount and the magnetic pop filter. So let's go ahead, take a bit more of a wander and see what we can find. I'm here at the WesAudio booth with a new product that I was really excited to learn about, and that is the ngTube compressor. It's a stereo VariMu mastering compressor. I love VariMu compression, and this unit looks awesome. Honestly, it's got full total recall of every parameter via a plugin that's available in every format, as well as a standalone application. So you can pull up the plugin in your DAW, you can automate parameters, and it's going to manipulate that on the hardware unit. I mean, I'll just show you real quick right here. We got the plugin on the screen. If I pull the mix down, you'll notice on the hardware unit, the mix control is being changed. So very cool feature. That's also something that could be really useful in a live sound situation, honestly, because with the full recall and full automation, you need to do scene changes, you can instantly change the settings on the compressor. There's an intuitive sidechain filter with listen back, and then there are 3 opportunities to get added harmonics via saturation out of this unit. There's total harmonic distortion, you can drive the tube, and there's also a passive iron pad transformer. Very cool unit, certainly on my wish list. Let's go and see what else we can find. If you've ever tried utilizing hardware inserts in your DAW, then you will know the pain that is involved in that process, having to calculate latency times and like round-trip latency latency, etc. Well, I have a product here that actually is going to take care of all that for you, as well as give you inputs and outputs and allow some virtual patching to take place. That is by this company Freqport, and it's called the FreqInOut. Essentially, it's like an in-out box for your analog gear to be able to use it as hardware inserts. Now you might be thinking, oh, so what? In-out. Well, let me tell you that it does all of the math for you. It calculates all of the latency that's involved, so you can change buffer sizes and it will readjust. It connects to your computer via USB-C, and it shows up inside of your DAW as a plugin. As I mentioned, it's got 4 inputs and outputs, so you can stereo link those. You could utilize 2 stereo devices or 4 mono devices, and you can actually expand the unit. You can use 2 of these simultaneously for 8 inputs, which would be 4 stereo channels or 8 mono devices. Inside of the plugin, we've got this global configuration screen where you can link your inputs if you are using stereo devices, and there's also an input and output trim so you can gain stage your outboard units. Let's close this out, and then you'll see that we have a picture here of a TK-Lizer 2. Cool feature of this program so that you can keep track of what analog gear you're using actually on what inputs, and also your settings is that you can take a picture using a QR code and upload it into the plugin. And then there's this cool zoom feature right here that allows you to get punched in on your settings so you can easily recall them. There's also this analog matrix section here, which allows you to route inside the box. So say, right now I've got the TK-Lizer 2 connected and then a Lindell EQ. And if I wanted to use them both on this one channel, I can turn this analog matrix on, turn on the other device. I can switch the order if I want. You might think, well, it's just 2 stereo devices. What's the use of switching order? I mean, some people prefer compression before EQ. Other people prefer EQ before compression, like myself. Fight me over it. Another application would be if you have mono guitar pedals, you could put together a signal chain and then you can easily change the order virtually here inside just by dragging and dropping. Now, another cool feature, this is really cool, is that it has a mid-side function. So you could technically put 2 compressors here on the same channel, 2 mono compressors, and you could turn them into a mid-side compressor, or 2 mono EQs and you could turn those into a mid-side EQs, which I think is pretty astounding. I'm super impressed with this piece of gear and looking forward to seeing more of what Freqport is going to bring to the market. In the world of 500 series, Drummer have released a couple of new EQ modules. There's the MQ1 and the MQ2. These are a nod to the Motown EQs of the 1960s. So there is 7-band EQ with 10 dB of boost or cut. There's also a crush feature to give you some extra harmonic saturation there. So the more you boost, the more saturation you're going to get. Or this gain control here on the mono unit is actually an input gain, so you can get some additional boost here as well. The MQ2 is essentially a stereo version of this EQ, and it also includes a compression circuit, a simple 1-knob compressor, so that has a fixed attack and release time, and as you turn up the compress knob, you're changing the ratio and also bringing the threshold down. There's still the same crush circuit here, and it works the same way. Like if you're boosting, the more you boost, the more saturation you're going to get, the more additional harmonics you're going to get. This gain control here is actually an output control, but it still interacts with the crush circuit in the same way. So there's also a meter here, gain reduction meter, and then your level meter, and you have this order feature which allows you to change the order of the compression EQ, so you can have compression before EQ or EQ before compression, which I've already said is my preferred way, and I already said fight me over it. So if you disagree, put it in the comments below. But that's it for Drummer, the 500 series units here. Let's go and see what else we can find. In other 500 series news, Cranbourne have released a new module. Cranbourne Audio are a company that pride themselves on doing things a little differently, and with the Brick Lane modal compressor, this is no exception. This compressor has 6 different modes, so essentially that's 6 different compression types, and this switch right in the middle here, the mode switch, is the key to unlocking all of the sounds within. Let's talk about the modes. We've got Velvet, Float, Smash, Tame, Glue, and Polish. Polish is a mastering mode with analog look ahead. But the interesting thing about this is as you flick through the mode switch and you cycle through each mode, it changes the compression type completely, including the compression ballistics. And it also changes how the stress circuit, which is a multi-band saturation circuit, it changes how that interacts and how that works with your signal. So certainly a very innovative and interesting piece of gear, and I look forward to seeing what else Cranbourne brings to market. So we've already seen some exciting new audio interfaces from the likes of SSL here at the 2025 NAMM Show, but over here at the Audient booth, we also have an exciting audio interface release, and that is the ID48. Now, this is Audient's first 8-channel rack mount audio interface, and it features 8 ASP mic pre's, the same mic pre's that are in their ASP lineup of consoles. On the rear, we have the 8 combo XLR 1/4-inch inputs. Then on the front, we have two high-Z inputs here for going direct. Another cool feature about this audio interface is there are insert points, so send and returns on DB25 connectors on the back. And those insert points can be used for recording. And the folks at Audiant have really thought through this hybrid workflow that a lot of people utilize with analog and digital equipment in the modern home or project studio with implementing these insert points, because in the ID mixer, there's a button that you can press that will easily just switch them in the signal path to be used for tracking to mixing. So that means that you can have all of your analog gear connected either directly to the ID48 or to a patch bay and switch over from a tracking process to mixing process with very little fuss. In terms of sample rate, it's 24-bit on the way in and 32-bit on the way out to be able to maximize the dynamic range, especially for using analog equipment. And the unit can be expanded via ADAT to give you an extra 16 inputs and outputs. And then there are also two monitor outs that can be switched, so you could have two pairs of speakers to monitor off. And on the front, you've got two headphone jacks that can each have an independent headphone mix. So that's the Audiant ID48. Let's go ahead and see what else we can find at the show. So my last stop today is the Apogee booth to take a look at the Symphony Studio series. These were not specifically like a NAMM release. They were released just before NAMM, maybe a week or so ago. But it's cool to see them in person. And they're perfect if you need more I/O than what the Symphony Desktop series provides, but yet you don't need the full configuration of the Symphony I/O series. So these come in at a bit more of an affordable price point, and there are three configurations. There's a 2x12, an 8x8, and an 8x16. They're USB-C and class compliant. All of the inputs on the back are XLR inputs, and they've all got the same Apogee mic pre's as what you're going to find in every other Symphony interface, including the Symphony I/O. And then the outputs are on DB25 connectors. They also include input and output DSP. The input DSP is in the form of a channel strip. The output DSP, there's quite a lot going on there. There's a room correction feature and a room simulation mode inside of that where you can put in both dimensions and material of a room. There's also speaker management, including bass management and delay for time aligning. This is perfect for spatial audio applications. And there are configurations built into the box inside the speaker management for using spatial setups. So whether it's 2.1 all the way up to Atmos. The Symphony Studio series have two headphone outputs, each with the ability to have their own separate Q mix. And in terms of conversion, these feature the same conversion as the Symphony I/O Gen 2. The Symphony I/O Special Edition has a new converter card in it, which is slightly higher spec than what you'd get in this, but that's to be expected with a flagship interface. So thanks for hanging with me as we've explored some of the really cool recording gear from NAMM 2025. This has been Andrew from B&H. I will see you in the next video if you subscribe to the B&H Pro Audio YouTube channel. And always remember audio.